This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Welcome to the Ramayana, Stories of Dharma and Devotion. I'm Sandeep, your storyteller, guiding you through the eternal journey of Valmiki's Ramayana. Our narrative draws deeply from Valmiki's original text and is enriched with stories from other Indian traditions, offering you a complete and immersive experience of this eternal tale. Share this podcast with your loved ones and let the timeless lessons of the Ramayana inspire your journey. In our previous episode, we saw the war reach its true end, not just in battle, but in meaning. We witnessed Ram's devotion rise to its highest point, as he stood ready to offer his own eye, and saw Goddess Durga appear, pleased with his surrender. She revealed the deeper truth behind Raavan's life, that he was not just an enemy, but a soul bound by destiny. We saw how even the divine moves through action, as Hanuman created the moment for the goddess to leave Raavan, shifting the balance of the war. Ram and Raavan clashed with unstoppable foes, and in the end, guided by truth and knowledge, Ram struck Raavan at the source of his life and ended it. We saw Raavan fall, and with him, the fear that had gripped the worlds came to an end. But victory did not come with pride. We witnessed Ram's compassion as he honored even his fallen enemy. We heard Raavan's final words, filled with wisdom and regret. We saw the grief of Lanka, Mandodari's sorrow, and Vibhishan's inner conflict. And finally, we witnessed Raavan's last rites, performed with dignity, marking the end of an era. In today's episode, we move beyond the battlefield, into a moment far more difficult than war itself. We will see how Ram restores Dharma in Lanka, not by ruling it, but by giving the throne to Vibhishan. We will witness Hanuman carry the news of victory to Sita, bringing hope after long suffering. But along with joy, we will also see doubt, pain, and a test that will shake the hearts of all. We will witness Ram stand torn between his role as a king and his role as a husband. We will see Sita rise with strength and dignity, defending her honor before the world. We will witness a moment where truth is not just spoken, but proven. We will see fire itself become a witness, and we will witness what happens when truth rises from the flames. This is not just a continuation of victory. This is the testing of that victory. Join me now, as Dharma is upheld at a personal cost, as love is tested before the world, and as Ram and Sita walk through one of the most powerful moments of the Ramayana. The Great War had ended. Raavan, the mighty king of Lanka, had fallen on the battlefield. His pride, his power, and his terror over the 3 worlds had all come to an end. The skies slowly cleared, and the noise of war faded into silence. At that moment, Matali, the divine charioteer who had guided Ram during the battle, bowed respectfully and returned to the heavens, his duty complete. Ram stood calm, yet firm. Victory was not just about defeating Raavan. It was also about restoring Dharma. He turned to Lakshman and spoke with clarity, Lanka must not remain without a ruler. Vibhishan is righteous. He shall be the king. Looking at Ram, Vibhishan said with sincerity, you have defeated Raavan. By the law of war, Lanka now belongs to you. You are its rightful king. Please accept the throne. For a moment, silence filled the air. Ram looked at Vibhishan with gentle firmness. Ram said, I did not come here to rule Lanka. My heart belongs to Ayodhya. My duty is there. I wish to return to my people. Vibhishan bowed his head even deeper. His voice carried both devotion and gratitude. He said, then, dear Ram, I accept this kingdom not for myself, but as your servant. From this day, Lanka stands loyal to you and to the throne of Ayodhya. I rule only in your name. Ram nodded. This was not conquest. This was the establishment of righteousness. He then turned to Lakshman and said, crown Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. Lakshman immediately understood. This was not just a decision, it was a restoration of balance. The Vanar chiefs brought sacred sea water. In the presence of Lanka citizens, Lakshman performed the coronation. Vibhishan stood with folded hands, humble yet strong. As the holy water touched his head, Lanka accepted its new king. The land that once echoed with fear now found stability again. With this done, Ram turned to Hanuman. His voice softened yet carried deep emotion. He said, "Go to Sita. Tell her everything. Tell her the war is over." Hanuman bowed deeply and entered the city. Inside Lanka, the Ashok Vatika still stood silent. Under a tree, Sita sat weak and pale. Her body had endured much. Around her stood the demoness's guards, watching closely. Her eyes were distant, filled with longing and pain. Then Hanuman appeared. He did not rush. He walked slowly, with folded hands and deep respect. Bowing before her, he spoke gently, "Mother Sita, Ram is safe. Lakshman is safe. Sugriv and Vibhishan stand victorious. Raavan has been defeated." For a moment, time stopped. Sita could not speak. Her eyes widened. Tears filled them, but no words came out. The pain of many months broke into a single moment of joy. Her heart trembled. Hanuman continued, "The ocean was crossed. Lanka has been conquered. You are now safe." Sita closed her eyes. A deep breath left her body. Then slowly she said, "Hanuman, what can I give you for this news? Even if I give you gold, even if I give you kingdoms, even if I give you the 3 worlds, it will not be enough." Hanuman lowered his head. But his eyes still burned with anger. He said, "Mother, give me one command. Allow me to punish these demonesses. They insulted you. They threatened you. Let me end them." Sita became silent again. She looked at the demonesses. Fear filled their faces now. Then Sita spoke, calm and steady. She said, "No, Hanuman. They are servants. They followed Raavan's orders. They had no choice. My suffering was my fate. It was written." Hanuman was surprised. His anger slowly faded, replaced by respect. Sita continued, "A noble person does not answer cruelty with cruelty. Kindness must remain, even towards those who have done wrong. No one is perfect. Everyone has faults." Hanuman folded his hands. He accepted her words. Her strength was not in battle, but in her compassion. Then he asked softly, "What message shall I take to Ram?" Sita's eyes filled again. This time, with longing. She said, "Tell him I wish to see him. That is all." Hanuman smiled. His heart felt light now. He said, "Mother, before this day ends, you will see Ram." With that promise, he bowed once more and leapt into the sky, carrying not just a message, but the hope of reunion. Hanuman returned swiftly to the battlefield camp. His heart carried joy, but his face remained calm and respectful. He approached Ram, bowed deeply, and stood with folded hands. Hanuman said softly, "Dear Ram, Sita waits for you. She has heard of your victory." Tears of joy fill her eyes. She longs to see you and Lakshman. The words struck Ram deeply. For a moment, he said nothing. His eyes lowered. Tears gathered silently and rolled down his face. The long struggle, the pain, the separation all rose within him at once. This was the moment he had fought for. But then, something changed. Ram drew a slow, heavy breath. His expression became firm, almost distant. He looked at the ground, as if lost in deep thought. The joy did not leave him, but it was now covered by something heavier, something difficult. Turning to Vibhishan, Ram spoke in a steady voice, "Bring Sita here. But first, let her cleanse herself. Let her bathe. Let her wear fine clothes and jewels. Then bring her before me without delay." Hanuman looked up, slightly surprised. But he said nothing. Vibhishan immediately obeyed. He went to the inner chambers where Sita had been taken after the war. Standing at a respectful distance, he spoke gently, "Devi, Ram has sent for you. Please prepare yourself." Bathe, adorn yourself, and then come to meet him. A royal vehicle awaits you." Sita's eyes lit up at the mention of Ram. Her voice trembled with emotion. She said, "Why should I wait? I wish to see him now just as I am. I cannot bear another moment." Vibhishan bowed slightly. His tone remained soft but firm. He said, "Devi, this is Ram's command. It must be followed. He must have something in his mind when he asked me to say this to you." Sita fell silent. For her, Ram was not just her husband. He was her very dharma, her very existence. Without another word, she accepted his wish. She bathed. She dressed in rich garments. Jewels were placed upon her, shining like starlight. Yet beneath all that beauty, her heart was beating only with one desire: to see Ram. As Sita prepared to meet Ram, the palace of Lanka still echoed with grief. In one corner, Mandodari, the queen of Lanka, walked slowly toward her. Her face was pale. Her eyes were swollen from tears. She had lost everything. Her husband Raavan lay dead. Her sons had fallen in battle. The kingdom she once ruled with pride now stood broken. She stopped before Sita. For a moment, she simply looked at her. Then her pain turned into sharp words. Mandodari said, "It is because of you that I have lost my husband and my sons. This destruction, this fire that has consumed Lanka, it all began with you." Sita remained silent. She did not respond. She understood the pain of a woman who had lost her family. But Mandodari continued, "You sit here lost in the thoughts of Ram. You believe your suffering has ended. You believe you will now be reunited with him." She stepped closer. She said, her voice turning cold, "But listen to me carefully. This joy of yours will not last. Ram will not accept you. He will not even look toward you. You will constantly be judged henceforth." The words hung in the air. Then Mandodari raised her hand slightly, as if making a vow. She said, "If I am pure at heart, then what I say will come true." Silence followed. Sita closed her eyes for a moment. She did not argue. She did not defend herself. Her heart remained fixed on Ram. Her faith did not shake. But somewhere, deep within, these words settled like a shadow, quietly waiting for their moment to unfold. Soon, Sita was seated in a grand palanquin, guarded closely, and brought toward the battlefield camp. As the palanquin approached, Vibhishan announced, "Ram, Sita has arrived." At that moment, Ram felt a storm rise within him. Joy filled his heart. Anger stirred in his mind. Pain weighed heavily upon his soul. Different emotions clashed inside him at once. He looked toward the palanquin. His voice became sharp. "Why is she hidden? Bring her here at once." Vibhishan quickly ordered the guards to clear the path. Soldiers moved forward, pushing back the Vanar army, the bears, and the demons who had gathered. Staffs struck the ground. Voices shouted. The peaceful moment turned into chaos, like waves crashing in a storm. Ram watched this. Suddenly, anger flashed in his eyes. He spoke firmly, "Stop this at once." The guards froze. Ram turned to Vibhishan. "Why do you drive them away? These are my people. They have fought for this moment." Then his voice grew deeper, filled with meaning. A woman is not protected by walls, or ornaments, or concealment. Her character is her true shield. And in times of war, in times of suffering, there is no fault if she appears before others. The entire assembly fell silent. Ram gave his command, "Let Sita come on foot. Let everyone see her." Vibhishan bowed and obeyed. The palanquin was lowered. Sita stepped out slowly. Her eyes remained downcast. Modesty surrounded her like a veil. With Vibhishan guiding her, she began to walk toward Ram. Every step felt heavy under the gaze of thousands. Lakshman watched with unease. Sugriv remained silent. Hanuman's heart felt restless. They all sensed something was not right. Sita moved forward. Then, slowly, she lifted her eyes. For the first time in many months, she saw Ram. His face shone before her calm, radiant, like the full moon rising in the night sky. In that single moment, all her pain, all her suffering, all her fear faded away. Only love remained. Ram stood in front of the entire assembly. The battlefield had turned into an assembly. Vanar, bears, and demons all stood watching. And in the center Sita stood waiting. Ram looked at her, but his face remained firm. In a steady voice, he began, "The duty for which I fought this war is now complete. The insult that Raavan caused, that stain has been removed. My anger has found its end." He paused, then continued, acknowledging those who stood beside him. Hanuman crossed the great ocean with courage. Sugriv stood firm with his army and strategy. Vibhishan chose dharma over blood and stood against his own brother. Because of all of you, this victory has been achieved. His words were true. But something in his tone felt distant. Then Ram's voice changed. What followed shocked everyone. He said, "Sita, do not think that I fought this war out of love for you." The entire assembly froze. Ram continued, his words sharp and clear, "I fought this war to protect my honor, to uphold my character, to ensure that no one speaks ill of the Ikshvaku lineage. A man must defend his reputation. That is why this war was fought." Sita's face slowly lost its light. Ram's eyes did not soften. He continued, "You have lived in another man's house. You were taken and held by Raavan. How can I accept you back without question? Your presence now does not bring me comfort." Each word fell like a weapon. Ram said, "I have done my duty. You are now free. Go wherever you wish. All directions are open to you." The crowd stood in stunned silence. Ram went further, his voice cold, controlled. "You are free. You can choose to stay wherever you want. I can't take you back forcibly." Sita trembled. Her body shook like a delicate vine caught in a storm. Tears began to flow uncontrollably. The same Ram, whom she had worshipped as her very life, now stood before her like a stranger. But within Ram, a storm far greater was rising. This was not a man without feeling. This was a king standing at the edge of two paths. On one side stood his love as a husband. His heart knew Sita. He knew her purity. He knew her strength. Not for a moment did he truly doubt her. But on the other side stood his duty as a king. Ram knew something very clearly. Today, this victory was being watched by thousands. Tomorrow, the world would speak. People would question. Doubt would spread. And once doubt enters society, it does not leave easily. If even a single voice in Ayodhya raised a question about Sita, her life would become a constant trial. Ram could not allow that. He understood that a king does not live for himself. His life becomes an example. His decisions become law for future generations. So, he chose the harder path. He chose to bear the pain himself. He chose to speak harshly, not because he believed those words, but because he wanted the truth to stand unquestioned in front of the world. He knew Sita. And more importantly, he knew that Sita would understand. Only a public, undeniable test could silence all future doubts. Only such a moment could protect her honor forever when she returns to Ayodhya. Ram's words were not just rejection. They were preparation. A painful step toward a truth that would soon shine brighter than any accusation. And as Sita stood there, broken in that moment, destiny was already moving toward its next turning point. Sita stood trembling, her eyes filled with tears. Ram's words had struck her like sharp arrows. For a few moments, she could not even breathe properly. The same Ram for whom she had lived, suffered, and waited, had spoken to her as if she were a stranger. But Sita was not weak. Slowly, she wiped her tears. Her sorrow did not disappear, but something else rose within her dignity. She lifted her head and spoke, her voice shaking at first, but then becoming steady. She said, "Why do you speak to me like this? You speak as if I am an ordinary woman. As if I am unfaithful. Separate me from such women, Ram. I am not one of them. Your honor became my honor the day I married you. From that day onwards, your family honor is my family honor too. The entire assembly listened in silence. She continued, Yes, Raavan touched me, but not by my will. I was helpless. I was taken by force. My heart, my thoughts, they never left you. Her words were clear, logical, and filled with pain. Then her voice sharpened. She said, If this is what you felt, why did you not say this earlier? When Hanuman came to me in Lanka, you could have sent this message then. I would have ended my life at that very moment. A deep silence spread across the battlefield. She continued, You would not have needed this war. Your friends would not have suffered. So many lives would have been spared. Why bring me here only to reject me now? Her words were not just emotional. They were piercing. She said, You speak of honor, but what about my life? My devotion? My birth from the earth itself? Have you forgotten everything? Ram stood still. His face remained firm, but inside, every word struck him deeply. Sita understood something. She understood that Ram was not speaking only as her husband. He was speaking as a king. She saw the weight of duty as a king in his words. But she also had her own self-respect. And now, she chose her path. Turning away from Ram, she looked at Lakshman. She softly said, Lakshman, prepare a pyre for me. Lakshman froze. His eyes widened with shock and pain. He looked toward Ram, hoping for a word, a sign, something to stop this. But Ram stood silent. His face was stern. His eyes were lowered. In that moment, he looked distant, almost like Yama himself, the god who stands at the end of life. Sita told Lakshman, I did not pay attention to your words once. I suffered a lot because of that. Now I request you to kindly forgive me for that. And do what I am requesting to you. Lakshman understood. His heart burned with sorrow, but he could not disobey. With heavy steps, he began to prepare the pyre. Wood was gathered. Fire was lit. Flames rose into the sky. The entire assembly stood frozen, unable to believe what was happening. Sita then walked forward. She did not look at the crowd. She did not look at anyone. First, she walked around Ram in silent respect. Even in this moment, she honored him. Ram did not raise his eyes. Then Sita moved toward the blazing fire. She folded her hands and began to pray. She said, O Agni, witness of all, if I have been pure in thought, in word, and in action, protect me. Her voice grew stronger. She said, If my heart has never strayed from Ram, if I have remained true in every way, then let this fire not harm me. She called upon the sun, the wind, the moon, the earth. She called upon day and night. She called upon all creation to witness her truth. This was not just a prayer. This was a declaration. This was Sita's answer to the world. Without hesitation, without fear, she walked around the fire once more and then stepped into it. The flames rose high. Her form, shining with gold ornaments, looked like a sacred offering entering a divine yagya. For a moment, she appeared not as a suffering woman, but as a goddess returning to purity. Then she disappeared into the fire. A cry rose across the battlefield. Vanars wept. Demons stood stunned. Even the air felt heavy. But what no one could fully see was the deeper truth. Sita understood Ram. She knew his pain. She knew his purpose. She knew this was not rejection born from doubt, but a test born from responsibility. And yet, she also knew this. Her purity was not just for Ram to know. It had to be proven before the world. For her own honor. And for the future when she would stand beside Ram in Ayodhya, untouched by even the smallest shadow of doubt. As Sita disappeared into the flames, a deep silence fell across the battlefield. For a moment, no one moved. Then suddenly, Ram's composure broke. His eyes searched the fire. He looked, as if trying to see through the flames. But he could not see her. The bright fire blinded him. Darkness filled his vision. A tremor passed through his body. Ram whispered, What have I done? His voice cracked. The king who had stood firm before armies now stood like a broken man. He cried out, his voice filled with pain, "Sita, come out of the fire." Tears flowed freely now. He said, "I defeated Raavan to bring you back, and now with you gone into the flames, what meaning does my life have?" The entire army watched in shock. The same Ram who had spoken with such harsh words now stood drowning in grief. But at that very moment, something extraordinary happened. The sky above Lanka began to glow. A divine light spread across the heavens. Clouds parted. The air became still and sacred. From the skies descended celestial beings, seated in radiant chariots that shone like the sun. Kubera arrived. Yama, the lord of death, came forth. Indra descended with brilliance. Varun emerged from the cosmic waters. And among them stood God Shiva. At the center of this divine assembly stood God Brahma, the creator himself. All the gods raised their hands in respect toward Ram. Then they spoke. They said, "Ram, how can you stand here and watch this as if you are an ordinary man? How can you let Sita enter the fire without understanding who you truly are?" Their words echoed across the sky. Ram looked up. His face was still filled with sorrow. His voice, when he spoke, was calm but human. He said, "I know myself only as Ram, the son of King Dashrath, a man who has lived and suffered like any other. If there is something more, tell me. Reveal to me who I truly am." The gods fell silent. Then God Brahma stepped forward. His voice carried the weight of creation itself. He said, "O Ram, you are not just a man. You are Narayan himself, the eternal soul, the protector of the universe, the wielder of the Sudarshan Chakra." The battlefield stood still. God Brahma continued, his words rising like a sacred hymn, "You are the truth that never changes. You are the origin of all that exists. The sun and moon are your eyes. The wind moves by your will. The earth stands firm because of you. The Vedas flow from your speech." He raised his hand toward the sky. He said, "The entire universe is your body. The gods themselves exist through you. You are the beginning and the end." Each word revealed a deeper truth. God Brahma further declared, "You are God Vishnu and Sita is Goddess Lakshmi. She is your eternal consort." A divine understanding spread through the assembly. God Brahma then spoke of the purpose behind it all. He said, "You took birth on earth for one reason: to destroy Raavan. That task is now complete. The burden of the world has been lifted." His voice softened, "Your glory is eternal. Your actions will guide the world. Whoever remembers this sacred story with devotion will be protected and blessed." The sky remained filled with divine light. And in that moment, between grief and revelation, the truth of Ram stood revealed before all worlds. The flames of the pyre still burned high. The air was tense. The cries of the army had faded into a fearful silence. Ram stood still, his eyes fixed on the fire, his heart torn between grief and hope. Then, suddenly the fire began to change. The blazing flames calmed. A divine glow rose from within them. The fire no longer looked destructive. It looked sacred, alive. From within the flames, a radiant form emerged. Agni, the fire god, appeared before the entire assembly. His presence shone like pure light. And he carried Sita. She was untouched. Her hair flowed freely, not a single strand burned. Her red garments remained bright and whole. Her ornaments shone even more brilliantly than before. She looked like the rising sun itself, calm, radiant, and divine. A wave of astonishment passed through the crowd. Agni stepped forward and placed Sita gently before Ram. Then he spoke, his voice filled with authority that no one could question. He said, "O Ram, accept your wife." The words echoed across the battlefield. Agni then declared, "Sita is pure. In her thoughts, in her words, in her heart, she has never strayed from you. Although I am nobody to declare her purity, still since she asked me before entering the fire, I am declaring this to ensure there is no doubt in anyone's mind." He continued, his voice firm and clear, "She was taken by force by Raavan. She was held under fear and threat. But her mind never moved away from you. Not even for a moment. The gods listened. The army listened. The world itself seemed to listen. Agni said, she resisted every temptation. She remained steady in her devotion. You alone were her anchor. The truth stood revealed. Ram's eyes filled with tears. The weight he had been carrying finally began to lift. He stepped forward slowly. Looking at the gods, and at the gathered assembly, Ram spoke, I have always known Sita's purity. Not for a moment did I doubt her. The crowd listened carefully. Ram continued, but I am not just a husband. I am a king. My actions must stand before the world. His voice was steady but now filled with honesty. He said, if I had accepted her immediately, after her stay in Lanka, people would have spoken. They would have questioned her. They would have questioned me. He paused and then said, and such doubt once born never dies. Ram looked at Sita. He firmly said, I could not allow that. That is why this test was needed. Not for me, but for the world. So that no one, ever again, can question her purity. The meaning of his actions became clear. This was not rejection. This was protection in the harshest form. Ram then spoke with deep feeling, Sita is not separate from me. Just as sunlight cannot be separated from the sun, she cannot be separated from me. He stepped closer and softly said, how can a man of honor abandon his own honor? Then, with full acceptance, he received Sita back. The long suffering ended in that moment. Ram and Sita stood together again. The sky seemed to brighten. The gods looked on with satisfaction. The balance of the universe felt restored. And for the first time since the war began, Ram allowed himself to feel complete joy. In this episode, we witnessed Ram refuse the throne of Lanka and place Vibhishan as its king, choosing righteousness over power and showing that true victory lies in restoring balance. We saw Hanuman carry the most awaited news to Sita, bringing hope after long suffering and reminding us that even in the darkest moments, faith does not break. We witnessed one of the most difficult moments in the Ramayana. Ram stood before the world, torn between his role as a king and his role as a husband. His words were harsh, and they shook Sita and everyone present. Yet behind those words was a burden that only a king can understand, the need to protect honor not just for the present, but for all time. We saw Sita rise with strength, dignity, and unshaken faith. She did not remain silent. She spoke with truth and self-respect, and when words were not enough, she chose the path of fire. We saw Sita walk into the fire, not in despair, but in absolute confidence in her purity. We saw the universe respond, as the gods themselves descended and revealed the deeper truth of Ram's divine nature. And then, in a moment that removed all doubt forever, we saw Agni return Sita untouched, declaring her pure before all three worlds. We saw Ram's pain, his conflict, and finally his truth. He revealed that this was never about doubt, but about removing doubt for the world. We witnessed the reunion of Ram and Sita, not just as husband and wife, but as two inseparable forces, like the sun and its light. The long suffering ended, and for the first time after the war, we saw Ram allow himself to feel complete joy. In the next episode, we will move forward from this moment of truth and reunion. We will see how Ram prepares to leave Lanka and return to Ayodhya, where a new chapter awaits. We will witness how the journey back is not just a return home, but the beginning of new responsibilities, new expectations, and new tests. Join me in the next episode, as next phase of Ramayana unfolds. Share this podcast with your loved ones and let the timeless lessons of the Ramayana inspire your journey. Though the details of this ancient tale may vary across traditions, its essence reminds us of the enduring power of compassion, courage, and hope in the face of adversity. Until next time, may the light of Dharma illuminate your path and fill your heart with peace.